All right, guys, Sam here with you. It's Friday. What the hell is it? December 7th. Friday, December 7th. All right, middle of the day here. And we're here for a Bitcoin update. Now, guys, I know it's if you're a bull, this is about as ugly as it can be. Now, what is interesting here is that we are now finally, as I sit here recording this, where am I at? We're at 3210. I'm at 3210 on Bitstamp, or over here 3231 here on GDAX, Coinbase Pro. It's been here all year, right? It was always there, always there. I remember drawing it up, thinking, no way we're going that low. Yeah, here we sit. So I'm staying with this count here. I think this still is in play here. We are very interested in the buy side. If I can get this up here, around 3,200. Although does look like there may be a push lower here. Next target will be down here at 2,200. So yeah, $1,000 spread. Well, let's look at it here. Can we finish it? So the assumption here is that we're trying to finish with this here, that if this is correctly identified as an AB, and we're trying to finish the C to finish the X, so WXY down here. But it does not look as though we can finish at 3,200. Looks like it's going to be unresolved here now. I should say it this way. Of course, anything's possible, but if we look at the subdivision here, which I know you can't see just yet, if we look at that subdivision, it looks like it's going to be difficult for this to resolve here in this 3,000 to 3,200 range unless we get a double bottom, which is certainly possible. All right, so with this here, as we now are hitting that long-term algo range, don't be surprised if we get a little bump there, but it does not look like we can finish down there per an Elliott count. So let me go down to the hourly here, see if we can make sense of this. So let me open this up a little bit. We'll try and clear it up. All right, so just to get clarity on where we are, so per this, I have to scrunch this up a little bit. Per this count, let me get this here. We're trying to go 1 into the ABC. Here's the 2, 3 in, 4 is in, and now we're trying to get the 5 down here. All right, so so if I scrunch that back, maybe a 2 hour will make this look a little bit better. Let's go to 2 hour here. We can get a little more scale on what we're trying to do. So if I look at that and I think, okay, well, where are some reasonable targets so you get that kind of a move? So if I just trying to get a sense of the symmetry, that's why I like to do that. Does that look reasonable? It's not horrible. So I mean, the symmetry is not bad here. So we've got all the subdivision. This nice running flat here looks like a typical ABC here, ABC, and so it's certainly we've got this range is definitely of interest. If you're looking to put a toe into the long side here. So here's the range we've got established. So just to clear that up, I'm going to pull that out here. The yellow dash line here, that's just working off of a prior pivot over here, way back here. So I'm using this prior swing high that served as the support here as we came down and tested. That was a perfect golden zone trade, or remember it well, trading that in 17. So bringing that all the way back over here. All right, so let's zoom in on this. And actually, I'm going to go down to the 30-minute, see if we can work through this subdivision. So let me zoom in here. So if we've got this right, if this is the 3 here, and we've done the ABC into the 4, it becomes a question of, can we finish this? Can we finish this in 5 here? All right, so opening this up here, and I know I've got a lot, so I'm going to pull this off here and just recreate it as we go. So if this is correctly identified, if we're coming down to finish the C, so if this is the 4, and we're trying to finish in 5, well, I'm fairly confident in the 3 being in. There's my nice ABC to give me my 4, right? We get to the 23.6 on the retracement. I think we get just beyond that. So we're between the 23 and the 38. 1, 2, 3. So here we are hitting that. So it's just remarkable, right? So here we are hitting this is the very since February, that 23.6 at 3,200 has been sitting there. So we're getting a little bounce off of that now. Does not look like we can finish there. So it would appear that we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. which would be bearish with regards to where we might finish. So just drawing this. So 1, 2, here's our high probability zone. This does not look like that can be our third. It looks like that's part of the subdivision here if we finish. So it looks like going 1, 2, then I've got a clean 5 here, although I've got a truncated 5th. Now this was, here, I'm going to pull this off because this was, there was the outside possibility here. So I looked at this and I had to go to the magnetic to get this right to the tick. So one possible thought was, could we have gone 1, 2, 3, 4 and we're in some sort of a diagonal to finish here? Could that be? It doesn't work. So first problem is it's literally to the tick. It is to the tick of parity. So if I bring this in here, so I had to zoom in on this. It's to the tick. That's exact parity in that prior one wave. So this swing is exactly identical to this swing. You know, no matter how I slice it, whether I'm looking here in an Elliott oscillator, in volume, this is much more likely to be the third, the fourth, and the fifth going in. So it just doesn't work, right? There's just much as I'm aware that perhaps that's just overly optimistic to think that we're in a 3 here, that it just doesn't work. Right? So the alternate would be that we've got 1, 2, and then yet again it looks like 1, 2 again. So I'm actually going to go down again to the lowest possible degree. 1, 2. It looks like 3, 4, 5. So obviously that's way too big a degree. So let me bring this all the way down to minuscule. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like all we've done. Geez, we still can't finish yet. So it looks like something is completed here as we come into this 3,200. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we've got a contender here, just a contender to have completed this degree here. So we could have 1, 2, 3 is in, 4 still yet to come. So if we draw this up, taking that off, if this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, well, we're pulling here. We're trying to get the 4 lined up here. So coming in right on that low. So here's a reasonable spot. And you can see here a nice low volume node here. So that's a candidate. Now, if we get there in 3, but all that's doing is setting up the 4, the 5 of the 3, which puts us down here at 3,000 as a target, right? Nothing says we have to go there. But if we're playing this out and thinking about symmetry again, so we'd have from here 1, 2, 3. Here comes the 4 down for the 5. So that's a contender. So looking at it, how's the symmetry, right? So I've just been taking to do this lately just so you can see it. That looks like decent symmetry, and the wave relationships look solid. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be 3. So 3, 4. We'd look for it here at the 38, anywhere from the 23 to the 38. If we get a traditional, typical retracement here, nothing says we have to stop here. Could go to the 50. We've got some contenders, but here's the most probable location for it. So anticipating that we'll do something like this and then finish down here, but that's just finishing the 5 of the third of the larger degree. So the larger degree. So if we're finishing the third down here, how would that look in swing relationships based on what we know are tendencies of an Elliott count? I've got that swinging all the way to the side here. So let me take off the extended lines. Okay, so could we finish down here? Well, here would be the 2, 2, 7, 2, 2, 6, 1, and it would be an extreme for a 3. So it's certainly a candidate here that we could come down here and finish the 3, but it does not appear we can finish the whole thing. So let's just try to put the roadmap together. If this is going to be the 3, right? So let's take this back 1 to the 2. On the assumption, right now I'm hypothetical here, I don't know where this low is, but if we're coming into that to finish, let's see if we can put the roadmap together. So again to the 38, where does that push us for the 5? Potentially puts us down here at 27.37, right? And I'm just using an algo target, right? Nothing more than that. This is just a potential roadmap. So we'd be anticipating that we're going to finish. So we're going to come down for the 5, then do the exact same thing, and then come down here in some 5 to finish. And potentially we're going to be Could be 300 off of what we thought would be the low here at 3,200 to 3,000. That's where I start some accumulation here. I do have buy orders at 2,200 if we go there. All right, again, it's not about what I'm doing. Right, my situation is not the same as yours, so you got to use your own judgment here. Now, many of you members that are trading with my partner Quan have enjoyed the short play down here, and I know he's doing an update for members today. Right, that's the benefit of membership. You get his view of the market, and many of you have participated in the way down all the way. I know some doing extremely well, but we're close, and his analysis will show you the same type of thing, that we're close to some sort of a pivot reaction here as to whether or not we have the final low. It certainly doesn't appear like that just yet, but a bounce off of this long term. What are we? So that's been there for 10 months. 11 months. Getting that reaction off of that, not surprising. Now, the size of the reaction will be interesting to see. Right, so we know algos, right? All they're doing, these are buy orders, just covering those shorts that have been there since February 18th. All right, now we're going to get a big push out of this one, right? So we don't want to be a buyer off of a target. We just want to acknowledge it. It's not a buy signal. Not that you couldn't take a trade here. It's just, no, let me rephrase it this way. I wouldn't take a trade off of a target. I want to see a reaction. If I'm short, that's an area to look for covering to take some profit on either full or a partial. But it's not an entry by itself, in my view. Right? That's just my thought. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finishes at 4 or 5. Could we go to 2,700? Well, we sure as hell could. So let's think about where that would put us in the grand scheme of things. Is there any support structure here? So just teeing it up, let's do it this way. So if I put that there, where are we? Not exactly on a pivot here. And again, nothing says we have to stop there. We've got some other targets down here at 2,200. It's not to the tick perfect. I like this much better. So certainly that's a candidate for a significant pivot. It's hard to say, right? So it's just all you can do is use the tools that we have to work with. There's just no other way to approach this other than follow the rule set. Where are we? Where are we in the count? Well, this corrective action now leading into a fifth, but it's hard to argue. I think it would be very challenging to organize this in any other way. There's just not much else here to work from. So if we're just coming down here, so you might, even if you're using just momentum, so this being the push down here looks much more like a third. So if you just look at the momentum here, you can see the 1 through the 3. So we've got this it's a lack of divergence. So the peak of the oscillator here implies this is the third. So we don't get much of a 4 yet. So ideally, in a 4, we'd want to see the oscillator come back to 0 and then get the push down that would set up some potential divergence like we're seeing here. Thus, the idea that the divergence that we're seeing here is relative to this 4-5 completing. And with that divergence, now we're not getting a huge reaction off of this low, but we are getting something. So we're getting a little bit of a pop here. It's going to be interesting to see, do we have something to build off of here long term, since we are sitting at this very long term algo target. And it'll be very interesting to see how the market responds over the weekend. So I'd be cautious here. If you're buying here at this 3,200 off of that, I would accumulate slowly. No reason to go big just yet. The count just does not support it. Down here, this is going to look more interesting. If we are indeed going to roll over, if we're going to make a full push to finish the 3, 4, and 5 down here, so then again 4, 5 to come down to this level, I sure am going to want to see good signs of divergence. I'm going to want to see a clean 5 to come down here if we're coming to that level. And then, of course, as I will always remind you, the safer way to approach it is let's get a pivot and then wait for the first retrace, right? You know where your stop is, right below that low. If you get that, right? So it's pretty simple concept. Internal retracement followed by an external retracement. Can we get that? Can we get a higher low and then a higher high? So far, not a lot of opportunity to see that. So this will be worth watching over the weekend to see how we resolve this here, and do we get real legs coming off of this algo target. That is a long-term one, so it wouldn't surprise me that we get a little bounce off of it, but not much just yet. So anticipate one more push up, another leg down, and as to how we resolve after that, well, certainly there will be tells. So if this is corrective coming off of the third, well, that'll give us some insight as to what's likely to follow. Of course, we won't know until we see what happens. Do we get this followed by that, or do we just head down? Right? That's the only way you're going to know. Because an ABC looks exactly like a 1, 2, 3. What happens at the 4? That's the only way we know. And that certainly could just be a larger degree. That could just be the A wave. So considering the depth of this bear move, we could have just an ABC of a larger degree. So nothing says we must pivot here and roll over. Just based on the current count as we evaluate it, that would be the most probable path. Right, but as we know, anything's possible. 3, 4, starting to see this as a contender here. 27, 28 looks like a reasonable target. So that's about all I can add there in terms of what we see. I'm doing some light buying here myself, right? And I will continue to look here. I remain bullish long term, right? I know that's not a popular position to be maintaining as we sit here at 3,200, yet I sustain it, right? I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin. All right, guys, that's my view. Hope you can make something out of that. I hope that helps you in some way. Members, look for my partner's update. And if you're here on YouTube, well, we'll be updating again on Monday after we see how the market responds to this algo target and what the price action looks like coming off of that, if we do come off of it. All right, guys. Just a reminder here, we've always got we now have that trial that's available to you. So 3 days for $7. If you want to come in and study some of the material we've got available to you, you get pretty much access to almost everything but the belt system. Just we can't accommodate that in 3 days. So everything else, you'd certainly get a clear look at what we're all about and how we are diversifying into other assets and some things we can offer to you that should be helpful to you as a trader. All right, guys, with that, I'll wrap. We'll be back to you on Monday.